Hey everyone, it's Ryan Flynn. Hope you're doing well. As I promised in a previous video, I said that I was going to start doing videos to show tips and other methods that I use so that if you are an artist and you're trying to get into oil painting, you can learn a little bit and hopefully come out a little better on the other side. So this is my first tip for anybody who's out there who's trying to oil paint. And that tip is, be honest with yourself and admit your mistakes. That is a really generalized tip, but it's really important. And the reason is, when you get to a point where you're starting to charge money for your paintings, you want to deliver the absolute best that you can do for the person who's commissioned your work. This painting here, which I'm working on right now, is quite a sizable painting. It's almost 6 feet wide. And, you know, I've been kind of painting it differently. I usually like to do the whole painting and then like tone it in. This one, because I can't fit it on my easel, I have to kind of start from this side and slide the painting over. So I'm working on it a little differently. So I've started from this side and worked over. In other videos, I've shown you that I did the face of Hiram Abiff down here. And then today I started working in the face of Hiram King of Tyre here. And that is where my first major mistake was. In fact, the real mistake happened a couple weeks ago. And what is that mistake? So I painted Hiram's face here. I love the color. His face looks full. I worked really hard on making the highlights very subtle, blending them in so that they get a nice rich facial tone to it. And I really like how it came out. This side, by the way, I haven't done the shadow side of his face, but right here is my strongest part of the painting so far. So the problem that I did, or the mistake that I did, is when I painted this, I gave his face a nice warm light source. And the reason why is because this is going to be lit by the candles, and I wanted the warm look of it. I matched that warm light source with how I painted the robes down here, so that it has a copacetic feel and it looks like it's one image and not just kind of hodgepodge together. The problem is when I painted Hiram Abiff's face, I used a white light source. Didn't mean to do it, but I did it. And the reason I did it is I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing when I was looking at my source photos. Now, my source photos are kind of what you're seeing here. I used some models, we staged a set, but I needed to invent a lot of the scene. So while I was inventing this face, I used a yellowish light source, which is clearly not the same as this light source. So what to do? The first thing is, I admitted my mistake. This doesn't work. Might look great to you, but to me, I'm a perfectionist, and that is not going to fly for me. I need to do it better. So how do I fix it? Well, the quick way to do it would be to hodgepodge some light sources that are hitting this face that match the light source to Hiram Abiff. So adding some yellows and some white, which I rarely use, on this face to make it look like it's the same light source. Problem is, that's not the true light source. I want this to be a warm light source. All of this is warm. This is cool. So the only option is to go back to this painting. It took me this face that took me hours and hours to paint, and redo it. And that's what you got to do. You got to admit it, even though it's really painful, and sometimes you might be painting over something that you think is the best work you've ever done. I'm not saying that's for me, but sometimes you really have to go back and wipe it and start over again. Now, if this happens to you, I'm going to give you a bit of advice. Don't panic. The beautiful thing about having this to work with is if you mix your colors, you don't make them too transparent, and you work over it, you can use this painting as kind of an underpainting and color it in again. And that will speed up the process. You're not going to save hours and hours, but you are going to save some of the sketching parts of the painting. So that's what I got to do. I royally screwed up here. It's not good enough, and I'm going to fix it. And that's one of the best things I can give when it comes to pieces of advice for new artists. Admit your mistakes and do better. Unfortunately, when you're going into painting, you're not going to have that awesome critique period that you get in college. You know, when people just tear apart your work and tell you how to do better. It's a really important step in becoming an artist. When you get to this point and you're kind of out on your own, almost everything that people say about your art, hopefully, is that, oh, it looks so great, it looks so good, you're so talented. You know, that's great to hear, but that's not what you need to hear. You need to have someone tearing it apart and telling you how you can improve. And most of the time, it's going to be you. So don't be afraid to take a step back, look at your painting, critique it, and say, that needs to be fixed. And then fix it. And when you get a commission, especially when you get into bigger paintings, I always give a time frame where I can paint the painting twice. As in, I'm going to just completely paint this over because I screwed it up. And that way, you're never really in a rush to get it done. Because rushing makes crappy art. So, that's the advice I can give you. I hope you guys like it. Sorry for the long video again, but I really wanted to explain this and show you that even if you're as good as me, you're going to screw up a lot. And that's okay. It's part of the process. I hopefully won't make that mistake again, but I will. So, have a great weekend. Have a good week. And thank you all for your support. It means the absolute world to me. And I'll see you out there. Cheers.